The Australian government will miss its target of building over 1 million new homes by 2029 unless planning approvals and development restrictions are reformed, with an interim report by the Productivity Commission warning government regulations are holding back Australia's housing supply. Productivity Commission Chair Danielle Wood joins us this afternoon. Danielle, hello to you. You talk about upsizing in this report. It's been identified as a top priority to boost supply. What does that actually involve?
So when we're talking about upzoning, we're talking about shifting planning rules that across most of our cities at the moment limit heights to 1 or 2 stories, perhaps up to 3 stories, what we call gentle density. And what that does is allow more townhouses, more low-rise apartment blocks, and that's really about allowing more houses in the places where people want to live, near families, near jobs. All of this really needs to be part of the housing affordability response.
Okay, I think when people hear that, they sometimes maybe fear big apartment blocks coming into their residential neighbourhoods. Is that something that works everywhere, or do you need other things like public transport nearby to make that work?
So certainly if you're talking about higher density, what I would call medium or high density above 3 stories, those sort of developments we think are better restricted to areas with good transport links, activity zones, and we think there absolutely can be more of that across our cities. But in the sort of broad swathe of areas, what we're talking about is that gentle density, being able to subdivide your block and put out a couple of townhouses. If you do that across cities, it opens up choices and you really can get a very significant uplift in supply. This was done in Auckland about a decade ago. They saw big increases in housing supply, rents and prices down 20% over a decade compared to where they would have otherwise been. So this is something that absolutely can work and can do it in a way that respects local neighbourhoods.
Okay, there's always a lot of talk about regulations adding to the cost of building, very high building standards in Australia. If we reduce those standards, do we sacrifice safety?
Look, I don't think anyone would be suggesting that we do things that compromise safety. I think there's very good reasons we regulate housing. Safety, as you say, aspects that people are not well placed to assess. We want people to be able to move in and feel confident that they have a high quality home. But there is a whole lot of approvals that exist over and above that. We have an example in our report of a subdivision, 2 townhouses going up in Parramatta that required 30 approvals, 60 different attached documents. We have just layered on regulatory complexity, which makes it more expensive to build and it makes it slower to build. Yeah,
a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape. Danielle, a lot to think about for governments right around the country. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me here.